Greetings, dear beautiful, precious soul that you are, because that's who you are. Is a divine being beyond words, beyond labels, beyond body consciousness in the sense of skin colors, body types. I mean, all of these, they're appropriate for where we are, or whatever we do, and all this kind of stuff. But we're actually more alike than we are different, and we're also different and alike, you see, the same and different. My topic, it's okay to forgive yourself. You see, it's okay to forgive yourself. And you know, we function alike. That's why I know how your mind operates, and when you know how your mind operates, you're going to know how my mind operates. And you're going to know how everybody else's mind operates. And when you know who you are, you know who everyone else is truly at the level of their true self. And when you know the powers and the abilities and the qualities of your true divine self, eternal self, you then recognize and realize that for every other living entity, spirit, soul, divine being, they also have all of those qualities. And there's that old saying, what you don't use, you lose. And if you don't use it, it atrophies, in a sense. It turns to stone. It doesn't mean you don't have everything. See, you always have it all. When I used to be teaching in my television ministry in the 80s, and I would say, you know, you have it all. And having was not about stuff. It was about you. It's like you don't need apps. You don't need upgrades. These are all computer words and such to try and make people think that basically they are human computers of some level. No. You're so far beyond any of that. And when it comes to like forgiving ourselves, I don't know about you, but there's so many things I have done in my life that I would not do again. And yet in doing them, whatever, what may I say, there were so many different issues involved at those times, and basically ignorance on our part, not really having true knowledge of who we are, and the qualities and the powers and the abilities that we have. And so we are brought up in cultures, you know, that's kind of like a science word in a petri dish, a bunch of people seeing how they operate and what they do and all this sort of thing. But we grow up in our families and communities and whatever religion or nationality, and all these outer things are all these labels, all these expectations, all these rules, all these laws, all of this, what would you say, cultural conditioning in any way. Well, because see, it's almost like you think of yourself as a clear slate, like a clean and clear. And you have your beingness and who you are in character, personality. It's all divine. That's who you are. Because this is, in a sense, a copy. And it's also a perverted shadow copy, because you can't really copy the divine because it's not of this particular frequency. It is a vibration, but it is not one that can be known by any kind of an instrument that is that measures in this reality. So the things that maybe we've done, I remember in the 50s, we were taught by this Dr. Spock thing in the book, you don't breastfeed your children. So what were we giving them? K-Rose syrup and evaporated milk. This is what we were giving our children. Because, and you know, and that, oh my gosh, I mean, I could torture myself to kingdom come, or whatever you want to say, for the things I haven't done. Errors of omission, as well as errors of commission. Of times maybe I didn't say things to my mother in the way I could have, in a more empowering way for her, because I just kind of very straight. I always loved her and everything, but you know, the things I could have done nicer, or the mistakes in child raising or in selecting partners and mates oftentimes. And I started to realize I really didn't marry anybody I'd be friends with. I mean, isn't that, can you believe that? I mean, it's like, why? What was all of the stuff, the layers that we have been taught to accept, or cultural pressures, whatever that may be. And then we have, each of us have our own expectations, our own reality that we're building, all of this. And when we're caught up in all of the mistakes and a mistake, or hurting someone else, or hurting ourselves, or denying our abilities, or empowering somebody else and following someone instead of following your own heart, and people say, oh, I'm too old now to learn. No, you first of all, you have to give up age. You see, time and space are concepts. I'm a spiritual researcher. I'm a spiritual sleuth. It's not like I'm a goofball and that sort of thing, because, I play a lot. And that is also a sign of our own divine nature, because we play. But it's a play with love and joy and heartfelt enthusiasm and that sort of thing. So we have all these talents and abilities, and we have all of this potential, and yet we have so much guilt. And the guilt of what we could have, should have, or would have done, or why on earth did I do that? And I know, one time then when I was raped, a lot of women, children, people raped, a terrible thing. And I could see now how I got myself into the situation. And then sometimes people, it was just like they got rounded up somehow. I mean, come on, there's a lot of stuff going on. And then when we live in the mind is always dredging up stuff, because it's just a big memory bank of some kind. I mean, it's an app. I call it an app. Fear-based, guilt-based app to limit us, to control us, to direct us, to focus our attention and energy on specific realities, but that are not really for our good. So in letting go of these mistakes, we can see, if we can, you look to see what was my error in my ways, or who did I listen to, or how did I get into this, or and that sort of thing. So we can either live with hatred and resentment and guilt. It's like, because I've had many, many past lives that I've recalled, and a couple I was a Native American, and I did different bodies, male, sometimes female, but mostly female, but male too. And these were, I don't know whether they're mine or not, but these came to me, realizations and memories and sort of things. So, we go through these lives, multiple lives, or it's one life, because that's us, but these different costumes that we change, and different characters and different scenarios, and maybe different family members or different talents you've brought forth, and all of this. But the key, and it's okay to forgive yourself, is to also realize it's really not fair in that sense of so much to be put on each of us without any real education or real, what would you say? I'll give you an example. What came to me right now is my great-grandmother, Nanny. And she took birth in about, 1884, I think, about like that. But anyway, I had the opportunity to live with my great-grandmother. So I experienced many of those cultures, a pioneer woman that she was, and all of these. But what she taught me, whether it's cooking or cleaning, or she was a resort owner, or how to be with people. I remember one time when I was a teenager and I was crying, and I say, Nanny, people are criticizing me. And she said, Terry Nan, people aren't talking about you, damn good. And I went, woo, So Nanny had been through and had senior wisdom. She wasn't like going to casinos. I mean, she did like to go to once in a while. She'd have me go with her up to Reno, and it would be like, she'd have me drive in the car. I was about 14. I'd be driving the car. She'd have me driving the car. She'd say, stick to that middle line. Don't give that other guy a chance, Anyway, but I had that great opportunity. When we start to look at why we judge ourselves and hate ourselves, and you find in families, people are hating each other, and they hate themselves, afraid of each other, and this terror, this stress. And I was in the store the other day, or maybe it's the DMV or whatever, and people were saying, people are just terrified outside now because they're getting hit with news all the time, hit with this you could lose your job, your money, your food, your disease. And I remember years ago, it's all this BS on inoculations. Please, I remember as I was a kid, got the measles shot and got the measles right after that, the next day, 2 days, exactly. What are you putting strange things? This is wrong. And when you realize this, when you really know, my great-grandmother was a nurse, and she did her healings very easily. It was always clean out your colon, always first. Always you got to clean out the pipes. See, wisdom. Now you say, but I didn't know that. How come I didn't know that? And I made all these mistakes in my life. No, you are an eternal being. That's what you have to get. You're an eternal being. You cannot die. That's the good and the bad news, you see, in that sense. And when I say bad news is people think, well, I'm going to leave and I'm just going to leave it all. I won't have it. No, you go with you see. And that means you're not just you, but this subtle mind, the mind and the intelligence of false ego, that's traveling with you, surrounding you. And what you want to do is to realize that is so full of lies, so full of pretense, all of the stuff that's manufactured in stories and narratives, and you should feel, and to shut you down. And if you really get it, you say, well, how could I ever start again? Or how could I ever really be happy? Or how could I ever really be who I am? Because maybe I'm old, or I'm tired, or I'm too young, and the body's diseased, I don't have any money. Just going on and on and on. Wait! That's all out here. If you really were right here, this is what my work is. And then when people come on retreats, I like to doing 1-person retreats and 2-person and 3-person to really work with people to help them really blow their mind, basically, and get to the real heart of the matter and take off all these layers of self-hatred and self-abuse and hatred of others and resentment and holding on to something that's not even here anymore, and then using that and then the people are tormented. This one person just finished a retreat with me. When she wrote me the note back, the email, she said, you know what, I've learned how to control my mind. That's not big, that's huge. Most people have no idea, you see. So it's okay to forgive yourself. And if you want to, you could dwell in that and, over that glass of booze and whatever you're doing and talking to your friends, and it's your history, it's all you know about, hate and money. Wait a minute. You are an eternal being. All divine qualities and all this. Yes, we've all made mistakes. And the key is to admit it to yourself, always, and to make the correction, and to let it go. And then you apply that correction in every encounter that you have, because you're conscious in your choices in every moment. You're present, you're there, you're here, you're there, and you're in tune with wisdom. There is no way we can make up for all of that. And don't ask to do it over. Give that one up. Or say you've got another lesson to learn at the next level in your next birth. It's all distraction. Own who you are.